about what has happened or might happen. It trains us to respond to what is happening right now, whether it's good or bad. The National Institute of Clinical Excellence has even recommended the practice of mindfulness as effective of preventing recurrent depression as drugs. And it's become so big now in the UK that it's gone into workplaces and schools, as the results suggest that it's very effective on improving well-being. So we're going to give it another go of having a meditation, and I'm going to ask you to get comfy in your chair and take a definite change in your posture so that your posture embodies a sense of awakeness and a sense of dignity. So step one in this breathing space is acknowledging what is going on in your mind and your body right now. Not trying to change anything, but just opening to what is here. What thoughts are going through your mind? What feelings do you feel? Are there any sensations in your body? Seeing if it's possible to be open to them all. And then step two, begin to narrow our focus of our attention down to the sensations of breathing. Wherever you feel the breath moving, focusing on that place, and with great precision tuning in to the sensations of the in-breath for its full duration, and the out-breath for its full duration. Noticing the pauses after the in-breath and just before the out-breath. Becoming aware of how you feel. Step three is broadening the focus now of your awareness back now to take in the whole body, the whole space that the body takes up. Becoming aware of the sensations in the body and holding them in the spaciousness of bodily awareness, as if your whole body was breathing. And if there are particular parts of your body where you feel intense sensations, seeing if it is possible to open to them, perhaps allowing the breath to breathe into that place and allowing them to open and soften. Bringing this sense of spaciousness into the next moments of your evening.
Does anyone want to make any comments about that meditation? Yes, Jonathan's saying it's quite different from the other one. He felt it was a little bit more able to follow.
Again, yeah, guided. They like the guided part of it. Okay, so moving on. So what does mindfulness then lead to? So by being aware and paying attention on purpose, intentionally and non-judgmentally, leads us to be able to gain control over our thoughts, whether they're negative or unhelpful or not, but it's about control of your own mind. There's been plenty of research evidence into the effects of mindfulness, and just as this graph is showing here, that even with low to medium practice, this is after an eight-week training course in mindfulness, that well-being and resilience increases, and obviously the ability to be mindful, which is being present in the moment, increases. Therefore, overall, we're having positive impacts on our whole health.
And the scientific research, and there's whole lists of it now as people, psychologists are getting more and more more and more convinced of its power, and they've taken it into many fields. So firstly, looking at this, where there's a psychological report behind each one of these bullet points, but the emotional and social skills, the effects it has on those for adults, which includes the ability to feel in control, to make meaningful relationships, to accept our experiences without denying the facts, as we sometimes do, to manage difficult feelings, be more calm, resilient, and by its very nature of being kind to yourself, to be compassionate and empathetic to others. But it's also been studied in terms of the effect it has on intellectual skills. So clearly, by bringing your awareness to your attention, is going to improve your sustained attention over long periods of practice. It'll help with your visual spatial memory and your working memory, and very much the core of the interest from schools is it improves your concentration. And much as we have generally accepted in our society and culture that exercise, physical exercise, leads to a healthy body, but it has this interaction with our mind, because exercise produces endorphins, which leads to a happy mind. The concept of mindfulness practices is to have mental and emotional exercises, which, by reducing stress levels and bringing your brain waves down to a calmer, longer frequency brain wave, it's been shown to strengthen our immune system, which in itself is a reinforcing model to have a strong body. So we need a healthy body and mind. And mindfulness is about the interactivity of our mind and body, and bringing our senses back to the present moment. So here's our second poll of the evening, and that is that we'd like you to have a look at this question. How much of the time do you think, generally on average, our mind wanders? We've given you a list of options there. Less than 10%, 10% to 25%, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, or more than 75%. Could you cast your vote as to what you might estimate to be the amount of time that in any set period of time that you think you're distracted and your mind wanders off from the focus of your attention? Actually, 70% has come up with 10% to 25%. The actual figure that has been studied by Killingsworth and Gilbert in 2010. They measured a group of students and found that 46.9% of their time on average, their minds wandered. So if you think about that in terms of our productivity and how best use of our time, emotions and efforts, it's ironic that the busier our lives, the more we try to cram in to our brains, the more that will lead to our mind wandering as it wishes to release itself from the endless onslaught of information being given to us. And so the busier we are, the more we need moments to refresh ourselves, to take these moments of me time, as we call it, to take these moments of downtime so that we can actually sense everything around us in the present moment and enhance our enjoyment and our perception of the world around us.
Brain imaging studies show that mindfulness meditation can reliably and profoundly alter the structure and function of our brain. So, for example, it can produce greater blood flow and thickens the cerebral cortex, which are a part of our brain that's associated with tension and emotional regulation. Changes have been evidenced to be so drastic in long-term meditators, but even participants on 8-week courses have been shown to have increased grey matter density in the areas of the brain associated with learning, memory, self-awareness, compassion, introspection, and a reduced density in the areas associated with anxiety and stress. You can see there on the screen a picture of a bridge. So this idea of increasing grey matter density, what's actually happening here is we're actually creating new neural pathways because it's a skill we don't have. So at the beginning, we're walking over a very wobbly rope bridge. It takes time, it takes practice. But these connections, these neurons are building, and they're building connections that become stronger and stronger, just like the rope bridge changes into a strong steel suspension bridge. And therefore, the techniques of mindfulness meditation and the everyday experience of mindfulness become embedded in you and then become automatic. So what have we done different in the I Choose Me program? Well, we teach the mindfulness practices. However, we also combine cognitive behavioural therapy and looking at meaningful goals. And then give you exercises to practice to be kind to yourself, and then obviously with our end goal of being kind and compassionate to others. And all of this is the foundation of the I Choose Me program.
Mindfulness techniques involve a number of different sorts of meditation, but they're not just about meditation. It's about taking on board all the everyday, ordinary events in your life. Eating, walking, even listening can all be taken forward in a mindful fashion. And mindfulness is said to be a practice that can actually turn into a trait that is with you for the rest of your life. So let's just give ourselves another opportunity to just experience what that may be like for ourselves. Once again,